Welcome back once again to another episode of Phoenix Ash Vice, where I try and give you advice about your problems and from rising up from the ashes. Now, I've not made an episode in a long time, and I apologize for that. To be honest, I didn't have the energy to make episodes. But I'm deciding to make another one now, and I'll be trying to keep up for the release of Season 2. Which, if I remember correctly, I'm gonna have be more of towards the physical body, I believe, such as the medical conditions and ways to battle them, or ways that you can cope mentally compared to them. As we all know, if you have a physical condition, it can also affect you mentally, worse than what the physical can be. Mainly due to the fact that it can always bring you down. Anyone who has a mental health disorder is also more likely to be depressed. I'm not saying it's all the time, but it is a more likelihood. Now, I'm not going to list mental conditions or physical ones. I'm just going to talk about the main ways that you might be able to help your mentality for these. For example, as we've done a while in the past, if you remember, we had all of that be about the whole breathing techniques, about keeping yourself calm. But there are times where, if you know every outcome, good or bad, you can be at ease. So, I suppose I would like to start if you would all close your eyes. You done that? Great. Now, try to envision, or at least see if you can hear, about what's in your mind. Try and think of your mind and see if it makes any sort of mental image of how you interpret your brain. Do you see your mind as a battlefield? Do you see it as an oasis? Maybe you see it to be absolutely nothing at all. A void, perhaps. Now, depending on which type you thought of, there can be different ways to help these. Now, yes, I'm aware that those who get the void, it could just be that they might not be able to have that mental image. Maybe their brain can't process it, or can't show it, or it's the fact that you physically cannot think of it. Because just saying it instead of doing it myself, it might make it more difficult and not make too much sense. But now that you've done that, if you choose to, you can open your eyes, or you can keep them closed. Because I'm just going to explain about all the mental images that, what they mean in my cases. So I'm going to try helping in a way of seeing, from the times that my brain has been in these positions, what methods have I been able to do to help with that, and I'm hoping that that can help you as well. So we will begin with the most common one, the one that I also usually have, which is the void. Not being able to make a mental image. To me, this is more of a sign that you're more spontaneous with actions or thoughts. You don't really have an in-ground path, you're more of a spur-in-the-moment thing. The main way I find to help with that is to maybe take a step back. You can be calm with it, or you can be forceful with it, but it's just a way of keeping yourself behind, rather than going all the way in front. For example, instead of trying to cut to the front of a queue, why not just keep letting people go in front of you till you're at the back? Now yes, thinking of this, it might not sound as good as you want, because usually in queues, if you're at the back, it can take ages to do things. But if you have that plan, and the way of just waiting for things, instead of just acting on it yourself, maybe pushing other people ahead of you so that way they can end up getting it before you. Because there can be positives and negatives to this. Some positives can be that, say if you're in line for food, and someone you've let go in front of you gets food that maybe didn't taste as good, but because you were behind them, you got the better food. For example, like a cooking error. If they perhaps had dish soap in theirs, and they had to get rid of it. It's a common mistake for most cooks, that's just why I'm using it as an example. But it's that main feeling of calm, the main bit of, I'm glad that's not me. Whereas if you rushed ahead and stayed in front of that person, you would have been the one to suffer from that. So yeah, for the void, just taking a step back. For things like the Oasis, just the nice calm view, hearing wind, maybe some birds and looking towards an ocean or a forest, I think that that is more people who are chill. And by that I mean not cold, but people who are always calm. Those who maybe are a bit too laid back. So if you like this, you can keep with it, but if you'd rather be a bit more direct, maybe a bit more forthcoming than forthgoing, then I would probably recommend about trying to push towards some goals more. Something like, you've wanted to start this new trend or new thing that you've been interested in for months, but you never found the time. You should try that now. See what that does. It can be positive, can be negative. Everything has a pro and con, but you never know until it's done. So that's why I say that, for the case of the Oasis, you need to push yourself forward a bit, rather than keeping it back. You are more of an opposite to those who have the void. And for the final one, I can't remember which one I said, so I'll think of another type. But it was battlefield, that was it. If you think of your mind as a battlefield, then that means, to me, that you're in too much conflict with yourself, rather than within others. Now, I don't mean that in a way of go butt into someone's business. I mean it in a way of, you might be too anxious. You might not be in the best of times. It could be the lowest point of your life for you. But it's mainly that you're against yourself. To combat this, what I'd personally recommend, it would be to kind of hash out within your mind. You can't win a war if no sides have taken a front. You don't win a war by both standing idly. One of you has to begin it, otherwise it's not a war. But if you are able to fight in the war of your mind, you can win with the positive side, and you can feel a lot better. Like, a hell of a lot better. Ways that you never were before, who knows? Or your negative side can win, in which at that case, that's more of a worrying for a therapist side. But if you're like me and don't really want to do therapy, then I'd recommend doing the same thing as those for the Oasis, to just push yourself towards a goal and keep with it. You can't fight out the negativity if you're not doing something the negativity can try to fight. If you do nothing, the negativity is just winning anyway. But if you're trying something that can end up being a positive, you're giving both sides another war to fight, meaning more chances for the positive side to win and the negative to completely diminish. You can be free as long as you actually start the actions. Like, for example, if you work in a gaming company, or if you maybe work in an office, just mainly anywhere, you can have deadlines, which these deadlines all depend on your time management. When you start it, what you do for it schedule-wise, and then what's the end result. If you never start it, you're always going to get negative opinions from others saying that you're too lazy. Which, trust me, I know, it's terrible. But you can't get away from negative comments if you haven't started on it. If you start the deadline right as it's set, and you keep on that schedule of your own custom one, just of days where you do more work than a previous, ways that you maybe work better, then by the end, you have a chance of getting that positive rather than doing nothing to begin. So, those are the main three types of mind state that I believe would exist. The minefield or warfield, whatever, the Oasis, and the void. So whichever one of those three you are, whichever one you're closest to maybe, I'd say to just do the same things as that. Now, I understand it can be hard for some, and maybe you don't want to do it yet. It might be that you're content with yourself in the current state. But if you ever want to change it, if you want to show a different side, or just be different, then using these tips would help a lot. I know I personally, I had most of the good things, so I can't exactly promise that you'll get the same. Everyone can be different. But trust me, nothing will happen if you don't start it. If it ends up negative, well, then I'm sorry for it. But you never know until you've done it. That's the whole point of this. The only way to find if you're going to be able to do something is for trying it. I know me saying that is kind of a stupid thing, because I don't like trying new things. Some of you might not like it too. But if you ever get in that state of mind or in the mood to, immediately take that opportunity and go for it. Because it is called opportunity for a reason. You are offered this. If you take it or not, that's your choice. But it's usually best to. Anyway, that's all the time we have for the podcast episode today. And yeah, I'll be trying to revive it for a bit of a season 2 thing. So I hope you all have a good day, or night, evening, or just a random time of day, like 8:49 PM perhaps. Or maybe 2:28 PM. It could even be 4:57 AM. Which, if it's your third one, get some sleep, yeah? But I shall see you all in the next episode, and I hope you all have a wonderful day as you burn out the hatred, make it turn into ash, and you rise out of it as a better person. See you on the next one. Fly high.